The midday sun filtered through the canopy of trees, casting a golden glow on the retreat nestled in the serene hills of Montana. The therapeutic getaway, known for its discretion and tranquility, was a haven for those seeking refuge from the chaos of their lives. Among its current residents was Elena Harper, a Hollywood superstar whose dazzling smile and impeccable performances had won her global acclaim. But here, in the quiet embrace of nature, she was simply Elena, a woman trying to piece herself back together after a public breakup and a grueling schedule that had left her emotionally and physically drained. Elena had just finished her morning session with her therapist and was strolling toward the retreat's cafe when she noticed a group of people laughing near the garden. Among them was a striking woman in a casual olive green shirt and jeans, her short cropped hair and confident stance immediately drawing Elena's attention. The woman's laughter rang out, rich and genuine, as she ruffled the hair of a young boy beside her. Intrigued, Elena lingered for a moment before continuing on her way. That evening, fate intervened. Elena was sitting by the fire pit, sipping herbal tea and gazing at the stars, when the same woman approached her. "Mind if I join you?" the stranger asked, her voice warm and friendly. Elena looked up and nodded. "Not at all." The woman settled into the chair next to her, extending a hand. "Captain Riley Bennett." "Well, currently just Riley. I'm on leave." "Elena Harper," Elena replied, shaking her hand. "I know," Riley said with a small smile. "Big fan of your movies." Elena chuckled, a hint of self-consciousness creeping into her tone. "Thanks. What brings you here?" "Family vacation," Riley said, gesturing toward the group Elena had seen earlier. "Needed a break from, well, everything." "I can relate to that," Elena murmured. Over the next few days, their paths crossed repeatedly, as if drawn together by an invisible thread. Whether it was during a morning hike, where Riley helped Elena navigate a tricky trail, a shared yoga class where their mats ended up side by side, or a chance encounter at the cafe, where they ended up laughing over the same poorly translated menu item, their connection deepened. Riley's grounded presence became a balm to Elena's frayed nerves, while Elena's wit and charm brought lightness and joy to Riley's days. They found themselves seeking each other out, not deliberately at first, but soon with an unspoken understanding that their time together was special. Their conversations ranged from lighthearted banter about the quirks of the retreat to deeply personal confessions that neither had shared with anyone else. Riley spoke of the weight of her responsibilities and the toll it took on her, while Elena opened up about the pressure of her public image and the loneliness that fame often brought. Each word forged a bond that grew stronger with every passing moment, their differences only serving to complement one another. One afternoon, while walking through the woods, Elena's peace was shattered by the sudden appearance of a paparazzo, camera in hand. The man had somehow infiltrated the retreat, and his lens was focused squarely on Elena. Panic flared in her eyes, but Riley's military training kicked in instantly. "Come on," Riley said firmly, grabbing Elena's hand without hesitation and leading her off the trail. They darted through the trees, Riley's sharp instincts and keen sense of direction ensuring they stayed ahead of their pursuer. Finally, they found a small cave hidden behind a thicket. Riley ushered Elena inside and crouched at the entrance, scanning the area to ensure they were safe. Inside the cave, Elena's heart raced, though she wasn't sure if it was from the adrenaline of the chase or the warmth of Riley's hand still gripping hers. The way Riley had taken control, her protective instincts and calm demeanor, left Elena feeling both safe and exhilarated. She couldn't help but admire the quiet confidence that seemed to radiate from Riley in moments of chaos. When the coast was clear, Riley turned back to Elena with a reassuring grin. "You okay?" she asked, her voice gentle yet steady. "Thanks to you," Elena replied, her voice soft and filled with gratitude. Her gaze lingered on Riley, the corners of her lips curving into a small smile. "You're incredible." Riley shrugged, a hint of a blush coloring her cheeks. "Just doing what I'm trained to do." Her modesty was endearing, but Elena saw through it. Beneath the humility was someone who genuinely cared, someone who had instinctively stepped up to protect her without a second thought. In that quiet, dimly lit cave, something shifted between them. Riley's hand lingered in Elena's for a moment longer than necessary before she gently let go. Their eyes met, and the air between them grew charged with unspoken emotions. Elena felt her pulse quicken, not from fear, but from the growing realization that she was drawn to Riley in a way she hadn't anticipated. For Riley, the intensity of Elena's gaze stirred something deep within her, an ache she hadn't allowed herself to feel in years. They emerged from the cave with a newfound closeness, a subtle yet undeniable attraction simmering beneath the surface. Neither of them spoke of it directly, but their interactions grew more charged, each stolen glance and lingering touch adding to the unspoken tension between them. Their friendship deepened, and soon, it blossomed into something neither had expected. They spent their days exploring the retreat and their nights sharing dreams and fears. For Elena, Riley was a reminder of what truly mattered in life. For Riley, Elena was a beacon of light in a world often overshadowed by duty and sacrifice. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, they found themselves sitting by the lake. The air was thick with the scent of pine and the distant sound of cicadas. Riley glanced at Elena, her heart pounding in a way that had nothing to do with adrenaline. "You're staring," Elena said softly, a teasing smile on her lips. Riley exhaled, her voice low and earnest. "I can't help it. You're beautiful." Elena's cheeks flushed, and for a moment, they sat in silence, the weight of unspoken feelings hanging between them. Finally, Elena turned to face Riley fully. "I've been wanting to do this for days," she murmured, leaning in. Their lips met in a kiss that was tender and electrifying all at once. It was as if the world had paused, leaving only the two of them to exist in that perfect moment. Riley's hand cupped Elena's cheek, her touch gentle yet firm, as if grounding them both in the reality of their connection. Elena's fingers brushed against Riley's jawline, pulling her closer as the kiss deepened, their breaths mingling in the stillness of the evening. From that moment, their relationship shifted. They began to steal more moments together, each one more charged with emotion and desire. One evening, after a long hike, they found themselves in Riley's cabin. The soft glow of the firelight cast dancing shadows across the room as the rain began to fall, a rhythmic patter against the windows. Riley reached out, brushing a strand of hair from Elena's face. "Stay," she whispered, her voice trembling with vulnerability. Elena nodded, her eyes locking with Riley's. "I've wanted this," she confessed, her voice barely audible over the crackle of the fire. Riley stepped closer, her hands resting on Elena's waist as their lips met again, this time with a hunger that had been building for weeks. The kiss was fervent, their movements urgent yet tender, as they explored the depths of their connection. Riley's hands roamed Elena's back, her touch igniting a fire that spread through both of them. Elena's fingers slipped under Riley's shirt, tracing the contours of her muscles with a reverence that made Riley shiver. They moved to the bed, the world outside fading away entirely. Their first night together was a tapestry of whispered confessions and shared passion. Riley's strong yet tender embrace made Elena feel safe in a way she hadn't in years, while Elena's vulnerability brought out a depth of emotion in Riley that she had long kept buried. Every touch, every kiss was an unspoken promise, a declaration of love that neither had dared to voice before. As the rain continued to fall, they lay tangled in each other's arms, their breathing steadying as the night wore on. Riley brushed a kiss against Elena's temple, her voice soft. "You're everything I didn't know I needed." Elena smiled, her fingers tracing lazy patterns on Riley's skin. "And you're everything I was afraid to want." Their happiness, however, was short-lived. Riley's leave came to an end, and she was called back to duty. They parted with promises to stay in touch, sharing a lingering kiss that spoke of all the words they couldn't say. But as weeks turned into months, life pulled them in different directions. Elena's career demanded her attention, and Riley was stationed overseas. Their communication dwindled, leaving a void neither could fill. Their happiness, however, was short-lived. Riley's leave came to an end, and she was called back to duty. They parted with promises to stay in touch, sharing a lingering kiss that spoke of all the words they couldn't say. But as weeks turned into months, life pulled them in different directions. Elena's career demanded her attention, and Riley was stationed overseas. Their communication dwindled, leaving a void neither could fill. In the early days of Riley's deployment, they had kept in touch fervently. Messages would arrive at odd hours, filled with updates about their lives and expressions of longing. Riley would send photos of sunsets over the desert and stories of camaraderie with her fellow soldiers. Elena, in turn, would share glimpses of her world, her latest projects, funny moments on set, and candid selfies meant to make Riley smile. But as weeks turned into months, the messages became less frequent. Riley's replies grew shorter, often delayed by days or even weeks. The demands of her mission left little room for anything else. Elena, too, became consumed by her career. Press junkets, interviews, and the constant scrutiny of the media chipped away at her time and energy. Slowly, their once vivid connection faded into sporadic exchanges until one day, the messages stopped altogether. One day, while scrolling through social media, Riley saw a headline that stopped her cold: Elena Harper engaged to ex-boyfriend. The accompanying photo showed Elena smiling beside her former partner, a man Riley knew only from Elena's stories. The news was a blow, but Riley buried her feelings and focused on her work. Elena, meanwhile, found herself trapped in a situation she hadn't fully processed. The engagement had been a hasty decision, influenced by pressure from her management team and a desire to regain control of her public image. But her heart remained with Riley, a fact she couldn't ignore. Even as she smiled for the cameras and played the role of a dutiful fiancé, her thoughts drifted back to the woman who had once made her feel whole. Months later, Elena's world came crashing down when she saw a news report about a terrorist attack on a government building in a conflict zone. Among the injured was Captain Riley Bennett. The sight of Riley's bloodied face and weary eyes ignited a fire in Elena that she hadn't felt in months. She canceled her engagements without a second thought, despite the protests from her team. The career she had fought so hard to protect suddenly felt insignificant compared to the thought of losing Riley. She packed her bags and boarded the first flight to the military hospital where Riley was being treated. The journey was a blur of anxiety and determination. Elena replayed every moment they had shared, every kiss, every laugh. She realized how much she had sacrificed for her career, and how empty those sacrifices felt without Riley in her life. The closer she got to Riley, the more certain she became of what she wanted: a life where love came first. When Elena arrived, the hospital staff initially resisted her presence, citing protocol and security concerns. But her fierce determination and celebrity status eventually won out. She found Riley in a small, sterile room, her arm in a sling and bandages covering her temple. The sight of her injured, but alive, filled Elena with both relief and guilt. Riley's eyes widened in disbelief as Elena stepped inside. "What are you doing here?" Riley asked, her voice weak but tinged with emotion. Tears streamed down Elena's face as she closed the distance between them. "I couldn't stay away," she said, her voice trembling. "I never stopped thinking about you. I'm so sorry for everything. For letting you go. For not fighting harder." Riley's expression softened, her uninjured hand reaching out to take Elena's. "I thought I'd lost you," she murmured, her voice cracking with vulnerability. "You could never lose me," Elena whispered, gripping Riley's hand tightly. "I've made mistakes, but I'm here now. And I'm not leaving." The tension in Riley's face eased as she gazed at Elena, a mixture of love and disbelief shining in her eyes. In that moment, the pain and distance of the past months melted away. Elena leaned forward, pressing a gentle kiss to Riley's forehead, silently vowing to never let her go again. In that moment, the world faded away, leaving only the two of them. They had faced challenges and heartbreak, but their love had endured. Together, they began the journey of healing, knowing that whatever lay ahead, they would face it side by side. Elena and Riley found solace in each other's presence as they navigated the road to recovery. Riley's injuries healed slowly, and Elena stayed by her side every step of the way, helping her with therapy sessions and celebrating small victories. The hospital room, once sterile and cold, became a haven of laughter and quiet moments shared between them. When Riley was discharged, Elena whisked her away to a secluded villa in the countryside, a place far removed from the chaos of their previous lives. There, they spent their days rediscovering each other. Elena, eager to make Riley smile, would cook elaborate meals that often ended in playful flower fights. Riley, in turn, took Elena on long walks through the meadows, teaching her how to identify constellations during their evenings under the stars. As Riley regained her strength, Elena returned to her career, but this time with a new perspective. She invited Riley to her movie screenings, proudly introducing her as her partner. At one such event, as cameras flashed and fans cheered, Riley stood by Elena's side, her hand firmly in hers. It was a moment of triumph and love, a declaration to the world that they were unbreakable. Despite their busy schedules, they prioritized their relationship. Weekly movie nights became their tradition, complete with popcorn and debates over which genre to watch. They traveled together, exploring new places and creating memories that felt like a balm for the wounds of the past. One evening, after a particularly successful premiere, Elena surprised Riley with a quiet celebration at home. As they danced to a slow tune in their living room, Riley pulled Elena close, her voice filled with emotion. "You've changed my life in ways I never thought possible," she said softly. Elena smiled, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "And you've given me a love worth fighting for." Their love story, forged in moments of chaos and cemented in quiet, unwavering devotion, became the foundation of a life filled with happiness and purpose. They had fought for each other, and in the end, it was their love that triumphed. Together, they built a future where their dreams intertwined, proving that sometimes the greatest battles lead to the most beautiful victories.